Let's have a look at question 4 in this video. So we have the labor supply given by this function, where S is the number of hours worked and Wn is the net wage, so the wage after tax. The gross wage, the wage before tax, is 10 euros per hour. Now in part A, what's going to be the tax revenue as a function of a proportional income tax? So let's see, what's a proportional income tax? That's a tax on the money that we earn from our labor supply, from the number of hours worked. So what would that be? The tax revenue would be equal to the proportional tax T charged on the wage from how much we work. T charged on the gross wage, that is the wage before tax, times the number of hours of work, which is given to us as S. S is the number of hours worked. Okay, what else matters? What matters is that S itself also depends on the tax, because S is a function of the net wage, and the net wage is the wage after tax. So we must keep in mind that this tax is going to affect the net wage. Let's see how that works out. What is Wn? So Wn is going to be the gross wage after tax, meaning it's going to be the gross wage after we subtract the tax, 1 minus the tax. Now with all that, we could substitute the Wn into the labor supply function and then substitute it into the tax revenue function. So it's going to be a two-step process. Let's do it one by one. Now first one, what would be the labor supply function? Well, that would be minus 100 plus 200 times the net wage, and the net wage is just with what we just discussed. That's Wg times 1 minus T. So Wg times 1 minus T. What we also know is that Wg, right, the gross wage is 10 euros per hour, so we can actually substitute that right away. Let me do it over here. So that's gonna be 10 times 1 minus the tax, close that bracket. What can we do next? We could open the brackets to solve some math over here real quick. So S is gonna be equal to S, the labor supply is gonna be equal to minus 100 plus 200 multiplied with, what is 10 times 1 minus T? Well, that's just 10 times 1, which is 10. So it's gonna be 10 minus 10 times the tax. 10 minus 10 times the tax. We close the bracket. We can open one more bracket over here. So what we will have is minus 100 plus 200 times 10, right? 200 times 10, that's going to be 2000, minus 200 times 10t, that's going to be 2000t. So minus 2000t. We got that. Minus 100 plus 2000, that's 1900, right? Doing some more math here real fast. So S is going to be equal to 1900 minus 2000 multiplied with t. Now we can substitute this labor supply function after we take into account the tax over here to calculate the tax revenue. So let's see how that works out. Let me just zoom out to get more space over here. So like that, we go below over here. Now what's going to be the tax revenue function? So tax is going to be equal to the proportional tax T, that's going to be the proportional tax T, times the gross wage, and we just said the gross wage is given to us as 10, so we could substitute 10 into that, times 10, and the labor supply function, which we just calculated, that's equal to 1900 minus 2000 multiplied with T, and we want the tax revenue as a function of the proportional tax, meaning we are going to open the brackets over here to see what that relationship is. So we have 10 times T multiplied with 1900, that's going to be 19,000 multiplied with T, and then minus 10 times T multiplied with 2000 times T. 2000 times 10, that's going to be 20,000. T times T is going to be T squared. So what we can see, we have a quadratic relationship between the tax, right? The tax and the tax revenue. Hope this all makes sense. In the next video, we go to part B.